stark reminder of how jaded we've become.
Mhm. Yeah. It's amazing to when we think about the fact that there are people there and around the world who, and here too, right, who truly have little compared to, you know, what we see and what we have,
Yeah.
but they're doing okay, you know.
Yeah.
They're
They're
they
they're
are.
thriving. They're
Yeah.
thriving, and they're so happy.
Excuse
They're
me.
so happy to be part, to show you their life, and to have you experience and see
Yeah.
everything. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Um, I'm glad you made it down and back up.
Yeah, going up was a lot rougher than going down. Let me tell you.
No,
Let me tell you.
I believe
But
it.
and the cool thing is that that family in particular, I was present when some of the board members of Rayo were getting together, and they're looking at purchasing a piece of property and building a house for this family,
Um,
so that they can get out of that particular place and into another spot. Just one of the bazillion things that
mm,
Rayo does, and uses resources to help people out. It's incredible.
interesting. Next question is, what did you, thinking about your senses, what did you hear, smell, see, taste, or touch that you did not expect?
I was really excited about all the fresh fruits and vegetables. So as a chef and a person that just I love fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
um, you know, I was thrilled. I already knew to expect some of it, but I was stoked. And like many times, that was like breakfast for me. And people are like, "Don't you want this or don't you?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "This is great."
Yeah.
From a sight point of view, I could not believe how many fruit trees and herbs and um, like all of these different trees that produce herbs and fruits and flowers, hibiscus being wild there, and they make all these crazy drinks with dried hibiscus. And I love hibiscus. So I mean, it was just, there was so much of that going on. There was so much beauty. It had had a whole bunch of rain before I came, and so Peter was describing to me that this was a very different scene than like a month previous. But
Mhm.
now the whole place just exploded with green because they had had enough rain, and you're watching all of this stuff blooming and happening right in front of you. So that, from a visual point of view, I took a lot of pictures. Even the place I was staying, uh, uh, Felicia did Alicia, not Felicia, Alicia would take me and show me and start talking to me. And I'm struggling with my Spanish, but we're communicating. And she's having me go up and help her get the mangoes off the tree and stuff like that, that are on her property. And then showing me the different birds and things. I love bird watching. So watching all the different birds that were around and seeing parrots right there in right outside my the house that I stayed at. I mean, it was really
That's so
cool to
cool.
me. Yeah.
That is so cool. Um, so, for those who don't know, I am a nurse, and so I'm really curious. This was not on my list of questions, but you were talking about all the fresh fruits and vegetables. Do they use nature as medicine, like the hibiscus you mentioned? Do or did you even notice? Is that something
I
that?
didn't see that happening.
Okay.
But I mean, there's so many places that are selling the. There's a main church. There's a Catholic church in the center square. I walked multiple times down to that center square and talked
Mhm.
about it on social media. Is that
Mhm.
that there's all of this stuff all around, and there's all of these people selling. whether it's dry goods or fresh goods, all around this area, almost like a farmer's market that happens every single day. And you notice that even when you're driving around, and when you are walking through towns, that you might go 2 doors down and this lady's making tortillas and the next lady is got fruit or vegetables or whatever. There's all these little stores and little shops where people are selling their wares and goods. So I didn't notice it as a medicine point of view, but I saw enough of it to see that, there certainly could be people that are using it in that capacity.
Sure. Okay. Was there a new fruit or vegetable or food of any sort that you got to use or try while you were there?
I had never heard of well, I got all the major dishes that they have, guedilla, nakatamales. I got to not only see it and try it, but I got to learn how to make it, which for me was like the most cool thing. And my wife is super thrilled because I've already come back and made a few things for her. So she's like, "This is awesome," So
Go back, learn more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me about a person you met.
Oh wow, there's 1,000 people that I met, and I mean, all of the people that really had a huge impact on me were a lot of the staff members of Rayo, because they all have very distinct individual roles, and the work that they do, how they pull off what they do and how they do it on a daily basis is just mind-blowing. The amount of people that they service and the area that they cover, because it's spread out. It's not like, hey, this is even like I think of Newburgh, where I live in New York, and I think of, how I could walk to certain things and then drive to the rest of it. And they are reaching people that are miles away and on these crazy paths that, like, you need 4-wheel drive to get to these places where these people are, where schools are, where humans are, where the need is. And they've identified it and they reach out and they make stuff happen. So an individual person, I mean, good grief. Edison, Rosabelle, Marta. I mean, there's just so many awesome people there that impacted my daily life. Yeah.
Okay.
So I to name one would be an injustice almost.
Okay. Now you said it sounded like you lived with a Nicaraguan family. Is that
Yes.
how I understand it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Can you tell us about them?
Alicia has a fenced-in property with a security gate, and she allows people to park their cars in her property, for a fee. And then she has 2 different, almost like apartments that are separated from her main house. And in between that, there's all kinds of herbs. There's some composting. She's got a mango tree. And I stayed in the one that was about, if I had to guess, maybe 6 foot by 10 foot, with a table, a chair, a twin bed, and an indoor bathroom. And I stayed in that little place for 21 days.
Okay. The does she have any family there, or is just her?
Yeah, she has 2 sons, and actually one of them is really not, well, both of them are not her children, but they're her grandchildren. And the mom had taken off. Mom and dad had taken off and left these kids, and she's there as this elderly lady's taking care of both these kids. And the youngest one has got a lot of medical issues. And while I was there, he was struggling. He was on breathing treatments and struggling. Wasn't able to actually even go to school. And the older one actually goes to school in Managua, is going to college in Managua. So he only comes back on the weekends.
Okay. I think it's so cool that you got to live with a family, and I mean, just
they were so cool.
They
were so cool. I got to cook a couple of times, and like she came over and was like, "What are you doing?" And so, you know, we were conversing and making stuff together. And she's like, yeah, it was very cool.
What did you cook while you were there?
I got some herbs together, made some chorizo, made some tortillas, and cut up some mango, and just, you know, kind of put some little stuff together.
That's Chason, awesome. How long were you there?
21 days.
21. Okay, nice. Wow. What did you?
I'm sorry.
I was just curious. When did you get back?
I have been back 3 weeks this Sunday.
Okay, so almost the same amount of time back as you were there.
Yeah, almost.
How do you feel now about it when you think back?
I'm hyper aware of everything that I learned there. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a perfect example. It's nothing for me to. There are some shops that are down this hill a mile away from me that I would always drive to. That's what we do. We just get in our car, we go drive everywhere. Now I walk. And I don't care that it's 90 whatever degrees. I'm going down to these shops for a particular reason, and I need that exercise anyway. I'm still wanting to pull off 40 pounds to get to that weight. So yeah. So that's, for me, is, you know, those are the 21 days, you know, it used to be I don't remember where I read this or heard this. It's 21 days to form a habit. I formed a lot of habits while I was there. There were a lot of things that I got used to. Cold showers. And I know Scott's on here. Scott talks about taking cold showers all the time. And I just shake my head like, no, that's not, no. There's no need for that in my life. There's no hot water. So I got used to taking cold showers. And now that I'm back, I can't take a hot shower anymore. It's like literally I take cold showers now. It's the craziest thing because I did it for 21 days and I got used to it. I got used to taking very short showers and taking, you know, it's like, get yourself clean and get out of here, you know. And I also got used to walking everywhere. And now I do more of that. I do more walking. I'm more aware of speaking to my neighbors, of having joy, being thankful for all the things that I have. Because even though for a lot of people, I live in the ghetto, and there's not a lot of pretty things. My block is really nice. There's a park across from me. You could see the Hudson. You could see Bannerman Castle and the bridge. You go 2 blocks back, and you can buy anything you want to on any corner. And I'm hyper aware now of my community. I know all the names, and I knew all the names of my neighbors and the people in my building and the people next to me and next to them. But now I'm even more aware. Are you okay? And how's your family? And how's Raul? How's, you know, asking that on a more heartfelt nature, taking the time to see the kids and play with them in the park, and to, you know, do things to be very, very intentional. That for me, I think that's the biggest thing in coming back is like, okay, I don't want to lose some of the things that I learned there about mental toughness and about just how how you can live a simple life and be okay with that.
Mhm.
And I will say, I'm going to give you this little bit of thing. So I've been incarcerated before. So, and most of you know that I come from, I'm a drug addict. I was homeless at one point in time. I made some really bad decisions in my life. In my third year of college, I was forcibly removed from college and incarcerated. I made some poor choices. And there were a couple of times when we had a really rough day, of a very physical day. It was extremely hot. You don't have air conditioning, you have a fan. And I've gotten so used to here being with air conditioning and comforts and all that. And for 21 days, you're living a different type of life. And I got used to doing certain things. I woke up one night in just a crazy sweat, and my brain was fighting with itself, and the voices were attacking me. And I literally had to open up the door because I thought I was incarcerated again, because that's how small of a place that I'm in. And I literally stood in the doorway. I'm like, "You're okay, man. You're all right. You're all good. You're not incarcerated. You chose this. You wanted this. And this is strengthening you. It's making you stronger. And you're here for a reason. You're here to serve. So it's okay."
Mhm.
So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Um, yeah, I've seen Nick's comments and Kathy's comments about taking them back to places they've been. You're taking me back to places I've been as well. Um, yeah, it's pretty incredible when we are living in places that are just not like here, what we're used to, right? Um, the cold showers. When I was in Zimbabwe, I would get shocked by the water because there was electricity.
Oh wow.
I finally stopped using that shower. But
Yeah.
yeah, just, I mean, things that would never happen here. But yeah, thank you for sharing these. I know that you also went there to build this kitchen.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, kind of walk us through those 3 weeks and how that went? I saw a lot of the videos, but how did that process go for you?
Yeah, it was not easy to. I wanted to I went there with the intention that I'm going to document all of this.
You did pretty well.
Be very intentional about that. And sometimes it was hard to get it through. And some days, like two posts would go at the same time, or some goofy stuff, or wouldn't post, or whatever. But for the most part, I think people got the sense and got to follow in with the 21 days. And I was grateful to be able to document it, and tell it, whether it was video or pictures or whatnot, like what was happening. As I said before, this happened very quickly. Peter had a space. We were talking about it. I was telling him about what we create and why we do it. And he's like, I think we could do this thing. And then we had an event with the Outliers in March, raised enough money. The one thing that we didn't raise enough money for, the irony is that when I got back, a couple of days after I got back, I got bronchitis. And it wasn't a very severe case, but there was all these people that were sick on the plane, and they were hacking on the plane from San Salvador to JFK on the way home, including like right behind me. And I also was just like I got home and like I hit it hard, like doing the lawn, doing all this stuff in 90-degree heat, and just wasn't really thinking about decompressing. And I got sick. It was wiped out to like July 4th was like the first day that I was like, oh, okay. And I'm out watching the fireworks on my porch with my wife and our neighbors. But we needed a fridge. So we had all the equipment. We had raised the money in March to get all this equipment. I sent the money over to Peter. He already had some of it from the event, and they bought all the equipment. And so the first week, like I said, we were with the families that were visiting from Atlanta and doing all the stuff to kind of help Peter out and whatnot. The second week, we set up all the equipment, we tested it out, and Rayo was hosting this group called Echo. And Echo for just the Reader's Digest version of what they do, they're all about creating the means and the organization around how we defeat food insecurity in South America and other places. And they get together with farmers and food activists and people like Rayo, and they all came together, and we ended up having 42 people that were there, and we were doing the catering for them for 2 days. That got us to test the kitchen, to work together as a team, me, Chef Carol, Dina, Rosie, Maribelli, and then the staff of Rayo. And we did this really awesome presentation, feeding them 3 times a day and then doing snacks for them, which allowed us to see how the kitchen was going to function, if there was anything that we needed to tweak, did we need to have people come in, and there were some things that happened, including one of the things that happens in Nicaragua is that the city pushes the water through the pipes, but there are some times where you'll go 2-3 days where they don't push the water through the pipes, and so people will have these massive tanks so that when the water does come, they'll fill up the tank first, so that when the city does whatever, I don't even understand the concept of you've got the water, it's not a water shortage. It's not like in places like Africa or, it's like you just are not pushing the water through. So they fill up the tanks, and they have these tanks to rely on. We had to actually, because we were doing the catering and we needed fresh water, potable water, we were having to bring in, those like water jugs that you would have in a water cooler. We were having to bring in massive amounts of those so that we could keep everything clean, sanitized, and that we could have the water we needed in order to cook. So there were challenges, but at the same time, we banged it out, got to work together as a team, got to gel, got to see that what we needed from the equipment point of view. And one of the big things was, and I started to talk about this, I'm sorry, you can tell my ADHD is going strong. We needed a fridge. They needed another refrigerator. I got back, and even though I was sick, I reached out. I did a couple of posts, and I reached out to people. Within 1 week, 5 people, 3 of them from the Outliers, came together. We raised $500, and I sent it to Peter, and now they're getting together. And by August, because it's kind of funky how how it works with them getting the money, but they will be able to buy the fridge and get it in there, which is that was the last major piece that we needed. So now they've got a full kitchen of everything they need to bang out, and they can host up to 250 students a month. It's incredible. In 3 days we hosted 55 students. And that was the third week. So the first week was with the families and kind of seeing how the operation works. The second week was getting the equipment, setting up the kitchen, getting the gas, hooking up all the water and whatnot, and then doing the catering. And then the third week we had an inauguration. I got to be there for the ribbon cutting. They actually let me do the ribbon cutting, which was really cool. And we taught people, and we had all of these people show up for the event and did different presentations, and then we all set up our mise en place, and then had people come to the tables. And we had 3 people from Nicaraguans or from Matagalpa's infrastructure leaders in the organization in the city that came out, and they were super excited. And 2 of the 3 of them came to my table, and they were active. They were part of it. They were excited about what was being done. So it was great to see the city and other organizations, and how many people actually came out for the inauguration. And then the 3 days of teaching 55 students just showed us, this is going to be a winner. This is incredible. Of course, I took the kids because I love teaching the kids. I do that here in Newburgh with the Boys and Girls Club, and so I taught the first kids class, and then all the others were adult classes. But man, there's so many opportunities to serve there, and just connected in with everything that Rayo's doing. So it's great.
I am so excited. You obviously are excited about it, and your enthusiasm I think is like contagious. I'm curious about the students. So when the students come to the kitchen, they are actually learning how to cook a dish, or are they learning how to food prep? Are they learning about nutrition, good, healthy foods? And then do they get to come back? Sorry, there's are multiple things to this question. Well, but do they get to come back to do more learning?
Now it's a great series of questions, and so the main function of the kitchen, because the greatest need there is that it's an extreme poverty area where there are not enough jobs. There are not enough sustainable jobs. There are very seasonal, coffee and cocoa are very seasonal jobs. And there are a lot of places and they hire tons of people, and that's great, but it's not enough. And people need to live and they need to thrive. The main function of the kitchen in Matagalpa is to teach people on an elevated level how they can take their natural recipes and make it their own, and then sell those so they can provide for themselves and their families. That's the main function of the kitchen, is economic development. Now that's different than if we create a transformation kitchen here in the States. That may look a little bit different because we're talking about living wages and what we do to create living wage jobs within a market space. There, it's about them creating their own businesses, because Rayo does microloans for people, but we have to find people that are in it to win it and want to do the work and are excited about, hey, I'm going to be the best tamale maker. People buy you. When they're purchasing something, they buy you. So there may be 20 tamale people, on the block, but it's because of you and your personality and the ingredients and how you sell it and how you package it and what you say, and that means a lot. So us being able to teach them, how to have better sanitation, how to make things more nutritious, how to take regional recipes and elevate them, and then how to package that and how to sell it, how to market it, how to sell yourself. Those things are huge. And that's the biggest, that's really what we're focused in on in Matagalpa. The other part of it is, hey, yeah, we can do classes for kids and talk about nutrition and sanitation. And that's what I did. That's, we made banana muffins. So, we're a little on the sweet side. I don't use a ton of sugar, but we were a little on the sweet side. But they had fun and they got to eat them and they got to get excited about it. And and like we talked about why you wash your hands first, how long you wash your hands, what does it look like to clean up the kitchen. Everybody went in and did the same things. But here's how we start. Here's what mise en place means. Here's how you separate your ingredients. Here's how we clean as we go. Here's how we clean it all down so you don't have you don't have problems with insects and you keep your kitchen clean. Every single one of those kids, everybody there was just like, I'm doing it. They're so excited. And it just reminds me of that mindset that we talked about earlier, about that joy and about they're so excited for everything that you do for them, for everything that you show them. They're like sponges. They're just like waiting to, like, I want to bring it all in. I want to take it all in. I want to keep doing it. I want to keep learning. And I think even in even in some of the darkest areas here in the States, we forget that. We forget how privileged we are. And we forget that there are people that would kill to have just a tenth of what we have. And so it was a stark reminder to me about gratitude and about not taking things for granted. And so I hope that answers all of your questions. If I didn't, then you could reiterate.
No, yeah, that was, I had kind of forgotten that part about it to help, that this is going to allow people to start their own businesses.
That was the main function. That was the main, in that particular kitchen, that's the main function.
Okay, that's cool. I have a last question to ask, but I want to save that for the very last. So does anyone else want to ask a question? What are you curious about? Scott?
I'm curious, Chason, when do you think you'll go back? Because that's got to feel like kind of leaving your baby in Nicaragua.
No kidding. And, you know, one of the most disappointing things is that I didn't up my game in my Spanish. I wasted too much time on Duolingo, and I just need to get into a class. But I know a ton of words. I have a hard time putting them together in sentences, but I did all right communicating. I really, man, there's a piece of me that if I were single, I would just live there. I would live there and I would make it happen, because there's so much that I feel like I can accomplish. And there's so many people that would show that gratitude for everything you give them. I still communicate with a ton of there's a ton of people that I've connected with. And it's funny, I may have to go through and do Google Translate sometimes in order to communicate. But there's so many people now that I communicate with there. And there's a longing. When I will go back, I don't know. But yeah, it's fresh on my mind that needs to happen. And it needs to happen on a regular basis. Maybe not 21 days, but yeah, definitely, I need to go and spend a week and dive in, teach a class, do something.
Think of all the people that have gone over the last couple of years. I think a number of people have remarked that they could actually see themselves living there, which is really saying something considering the insane poverty that is there, which to me was incomprehensible. I've seen poverty in Jamaica and other places. I was shocked by the poverty in Nicaragua.
But in spite of all the poverty, how much joy people had was just
happiest people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the friendliest, happiest. I'm a sponge. I love, thank you. When it broke me, and I started losing my proverbial shit when I walked into the school and all these kids surrounded, they just ran and they were pushing, and I'm like, I couldn't move. And they were so excited that I was there. They didn't know me, but they were so excited I was there. And we started talking a little bit. Man, I literally, it's moments like that I will never forget. I will never forget.
Do you think, so planning to go back, do you think that you would start like multiple transformation kitchens down there, or just stick with the one?
I don't think there, well, for Matagalpa, there's not, we don't need to have more than one. We could use what's there with Rayo. You certainly could put one in Managua, which is 2.5 hours away, and it's the capital. And A couple of different times I was staying at Peter and Brenda's house there in Managua over the weekend, and we went to serve. And I talked about this a little bit. We went to a church mission that had their version of a soup kitchen, but it was, they're making a full meal for people, and it's all for the elderly. And these people would line up. I mean, here are people that are walking with sticks, and I mean, they don't have proper canes even, and they're walking for miles to get to this place so that they can get this meal. And they load up on these drinks, which are almost like an energy drink because it's all fruit and stuff. And then, gallo de pinto is like beans and rice and eggs and avocado and, whatever they were making that day. And we served the plates and gave it out to all the people. And then we helped clean up afterwards. And we did that a couple of times. And I'm struck by the fact that we literally, if we could find a place like with one of those organizations or the churches, we could build another kitchen there, and it easily would do just as it would be able to service even more people because there's more people in Managua.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Then
I'm so proud of you and what you've done and the person that you are, and seeing you and Peter come together, especially Peter, because he's just a high school friend of mine. So to see 30, how old? I don't even know how old I am. I'm old. I'm older. 40 years later, to see a community that we put together and you and Peter collaborate, like, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. And I would not have been able to, if it weren't for this community, I would never have met Peter. And to be able to, I got to go to your house and hear Peter speak, and Joe and I were able to do a small donation that night. And I love the work that he was doing. So this, when he and I started talking about this, I am, just like Amber said, I am so blown away that this happened so fast and we were able to get all this done. And it just shows the power of what you can do. So I'm excited, and I appreciate very much everything you do, Scott, and for your kind comments. I am just an old hockey dude that just wants to serve. So,
Rich, it looks like you have a hand raised. Is that true?
It was like, I don't know if he was high-fiving or if he had a question.
Yeah, something was going on. But it was good either way. Okay, so now what? That's my last question. What's next?
The goal is to build our first United States transformation kitchen. I would love it to be in Newburgh, but we're talking to a couple other places where the doors seem to be opening quicker. And I've kind of hinted about this a little bit, and I don't want to jinx myself or whatever, but there's a place in Fort Worth with a couple other nonprofits that don't have a scarcity mindset and are willing to open the doors and their heart to the possibilities. And they have a cafe that they're not using. And I know that I can get the equipment. And it just happens to be 10 minutes away from a women's federal prison. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, all the squirrels are running rampant in my head. And I'm going about, man, the things that we could freaking accomplish. So I don't know if that door is going to open or not. I don't know if the one that we're hammering on in Albany is going to open. I don't know if the one here in Newburgh is going to open. But my goal is by the end of this year to have our first transformation kitchen in the United States, and then next year to open 20 globally.
Amazing.
So That's from
That's
the power
outrageous.
of people like are on this call.
Audacious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is audacious? That's the word, right?
Audacious.
Audacious. Love it.
Beyond audacious.
Absolutely.
I was going to say it sounds conservative to me, but whatever.
This is the guy
I
going
don't
to
know.
Running
2 to
Man. Like,
20 sounds pretty good.
I'm not quite there yet. And then maybe next year I'll do Running Man, but I'm just not quite there yet.
Hey, if you can do those, I have climbed those trails down to the houses.
Oh,
those are no joke.
Those are no
I'm
joke.
telling you, I mean, Crystal's done it, Kathy's done it, Yara's done it. It is
gnarly,
intense. You are like, if I slip, I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble. Yeah, I'm in trouble.
There's glass and there's dog doo-doo and there's garbage and oh my God, it is when you walk down that is a surreal moment. You're like, this is physically crazy. It is, I can't believe what I'm seeing. This is how people live. Like, it's just, for those who have never been to Nicaragua, so they don't really have garbage cans. So they have no trash. So they just, they think nothing of just, so if they eat something, which they eat a lot of, like, Twinkies and, type of packaged foods and beverages like that, they just throw it on the side of the road. So, I mean, it's just, there's garbage everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was behind a garbage truck. I was walking to Rayo one morning, and I'm behind the garbage truck, and I'm like, this is a bad idea. Like, there was more garbage going on the street than there was going into the garbage truck. And I'm just like, dude, you're not getting into they're taking the bags that people put out, like they'll put out sackcloths or whatever of these bags, and then people are grabbing them and throwing them in the truck, and it's like half of it's not even making it into it's terrible. But anyway, I digress. Thank you guys for being here and asking the questions and caring. Thank you for all of you that came in March or supported in March. And thank you for those of you that reach out and do stuff with Rayo, because they need it and they're doing incredible, incredible work. I can't say enough about Peter and his organization. And thank you for those of you that followed our journey while we were there, and that follow what we're doing and help us to make those transformation kitchens happen. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Yay.
We love you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing everything. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks for sharing your night with us, guys. Thanks, Amber.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate it.
Best debriefer in the business.
Yeah, she is.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Take care.
I'm so glad to do this. Bye.